You're listening to the CB Cast, brought to you by Complete Body. To stay up to date, subscribe to our channel on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or you can watch the full episode by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Complete Body Health and Fitness. Welcome back to the CB Cast, everyone. Today we're joined by with Curly from Thnks Collective. Curls, thanks for giving up your time today.
No worries, guys. Ryan, thanks for having
Ryan, we're just talking about nicknames off air. So yeah, we'll go by nicknames today.
Let's do it.
Mate, so just a bit of background info for Thnks Collective. For anyone who doesn't know, Thnks is a clothing brand who are sharing the stories of people via social media. But, Curls, do you want to just dive into it a bit deeper?
So basically how it started was I'd come out of a relationship and I was living on the sunny coast, sitting there at Bar one day just looking out over the water, and everything was pointing to a good life, like I should have been happy, but I just wasn't. I think the relationship, there was plenty before that, there has been most of my life, and I just wasn't happy, and I was just like, I need to do something about it. And I guess I've always wanted to start a clothing brand, so I thought, why not put two together and tell stories and sell clothes. And I just felt that, for myself, I love stories. I can sit there and listen to people talk, tell me a bit about them and their stories. All day. I just love it, so I thought just put a product with it, and the natural reaction, I think, is just going to help people with a different approach. So yeah, that's what led to it.
Yeah, cool, mate. And Thnks is actually spelled Thnks. Where did that derive from?
I just used to text someone. Are we swearing on here? I just used to text people and I'd say, thanks via text, and it would just auto-correct to thanks how the logo is. And
yeah.
It just always stuck with me, so I just thought, I don't know, I wanted to do something with it, and it was sort of in line with the word, obviously, but not the word itself. I just went with it. Mate,
so that question I already knew the answer, and it's funny, since I've known that, when you type thanks in a lot, that's how it does come up in the autocorrect. Yeah,
that's awesome, because when I was sort of starting it out, I was sort of hopeful that if people would say, "Oh, have you seen this video on Thanks?" or then that would keep popping up like stickers on a car. If people keep seeing that, I just thought that would be not a bad little marketing tool.
Yeah, cool, mate. And now, I suppose probably the number one thing is that first and foremost, you guys are a clothing brand. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. We probably get mixed a little bit with a mental health space that's selling merch, but I'm pretty bullish on the fact that I want to be a clothing brand. I'm pretty passionate about, clothes in terms of I just like to look nice, dress nice, and I've just always wanted to create something of my own. So I thought if we can have a two-part business with a really good clothing brand, but then just tell pretty cool stories that people are going to see, try and tick both boxes and take that approach. Yeah, cool.
Now, mate, watching some of the videos, and we've just talked about prior, having a space there's a lot of, I guess for men and just mental health, there's a lot of awareness, but the spaces to maybe share those stories, it's hard to find them, I suppose. We talked a bit about too, even probably just the perception of what it is to be a man, and for men to share their stuff. How have you found the response from people wanting to come on and share their story?
Yeah, it's been unreal. Pretty overwhelming and humbling. It's been nice. People just messaging us from all walks of life. People with disabilities, professional athletes, just business owners, plumbers, just every man on the planet, every type of person, and like we've spoken about before, everyone's got a story, and I just sort of when I was starting the business, I felt that you see a lot, and I don't want to take anything away from these organisations because they're unreal what they do. You know, they've started this and, you know, they're essentially making the world a better place. But I just felt like there was a lot of people telling you to, you know, go reach out to someone. But I just know for me that a lot of my mates and a lot of people around me probably might not understand it. So I just thought, well, let's just, rather than sort of encourage people to do it, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, see if it can help people. And it seems to be like the response we got from Nico Hines was amazing. You know, Kazi did an incredible job on that video. And, you know, Gibbo's has been unreal. So rather than, I guess, trying to encourage it and talk about it, we're just sort of doing it and just trying to take that slightly different approach. Because I know for me, I could sit there and talk underwater, but for other people it's a little bit different. So yeah, that's, so far it's been positive. It's been good. Yeah,
cool. And mate, so for anyone who doesn't know, Nico Hines, who plays for the Melbourne Storm, has done a story with Thnks. You've also had Gerald Yaoyi. He's got one coming up, and a bit of interest from Todd Carney. So these guys are all, well, Gerald and Todd are ex-NRL players. How have you got onto that? Have they just approached you, or?
A bit of both. I messaged Todd Carney one night and just sort of pitched it to him, said, mate, you probably get annoyed with this sort of stuff all the time, but, you know, you sort of hear it, you know, would you, basically? And he said, mate, I sent it with my missus last night. That's a Nico video.
Yeah.
Mate, I'd love to do it. And I was just, when he said that, and we haven't done it yet, but it just like gave me a lot of confidence and just made me feel good, like doing something good here. And then Gerard was through a mutual friend. Shout out to Fathead. He teed that up. So yeah, Gerard was unreal. Real good fella too. So looking forward to putting that story out.
Yeah, cool, mate. And do you have much, I guess, feedback from the people sharing their story after it? Like on, you know, I guess probably for them having been through something and then just not so much reliving it, but I suppose in a sense reliving it, but then actually, you know, putting it out to the wider world. What sort of feedback do you get there?
Well, I guess for myself, firstly, I sort of, I guess, can understand a lot of the emotions they might feel. So I guess I try to be quite sensitive to how they might feel. You know, I'll sort of check with them before we post anything and see how they're going before and after it. But once releasing, it's been unbelievable. Everyone's stoked. A lot of people sort of feel a weight off their shoulders. People messaging them, which then just seems to be helping them help other people, which just seems to make the world a little bit better place. That we're not out here solving world problems, but just reminds you that you're not alone. And when you sort of build up all this shit in your head, well, you know, you're not alone. If you just tell someone, we're probably all in it together. So just, yeah, for me, it makes us all go a little bit easier on each other, a bit more empathy and understanding of other people. And for the guys who have come on, I think, yeah, they're no exception. I think they think the same. Yeah,
100%, mate. Probably my first thoughts when I saw your Instagram strike up and just watching the stories is, and I think Nico might have even said in his story that, you know, if me sharing my story could reach out and help one person, then I'd be happy with that. Do you get much response from people or feedback from people? I guess like reaching out saying, hey, I really connected to that, or, you know, I got a story the same, can I share it?
Absolutely, there's heaps. It's been a bit quiet lately. That's just due to our content. You know, we've been sort of trying to juggle a few things, but when we do put stuff out, yeah, the response through comments and messages and people wanting to share. There's heaps of guys who have messaged me and girls who are keen to tell stories, which I haven't forgotten about these people. I want to get to them. It's just we're trying to juggle at the moment. But yeah, there's been a lot, and with some of these guys have told me past their story, and like we spoke about earlier, you can watch someone walking down the street and you just really don't know sort of the the path they've walked in their life. So
yeah, and I suppose we're all somewhere for some reason, aren't we? You know, it's something that's led us there.
Yeah, no, definitely. How you sort of look at things and how you handle things, it's all comes from somewhere, I guess, a mix of personality and, you know, your environment. So
Yeah, cool. And mate, you said earlier, you definitely, you know, it's not a men's mental health platform. It's a platform to share stories. And you just mentioned ladies before. Have you had a bit of interest from ladies like wanting to come on? I think you've done one story, haven't you?
yeah, we done Jess. Hers was really good. She had fertility issues, and a lot of girls reached out. Like my sister, especially, she I guess was pretty touched by that one. So, because I think a lot of it's probably linked towards the fact that there's us fellas doing it at the moment, so it sort of seems like it's a guy's thing, but we're just whoever, you know. And there has been a few girls, definitely. There's a couple on the Gold Coast who are keen. And again, I feel bad to all these people that have reached out, and I've probably gone a bit cold on it, but I haven't forgotten about them. It's just trying to juggle another business, but definitely the girls, girls and the fellas.
Yeah, cool, mate. And I guess you know, we said like everyone has a story, and probably the other thing, you know, for people listening too, is something that I take away from it is that everyone's story is relevant, you know, I guess to the individual and the environment. So probably sharing it a lot in society, like I said to you earlier, that you feel like you can't share it because maybe it's not relevant, or like, you know, why should I feel this way because you know, this has happened to someone else. What's the sort of the feedback you get around that?
Yeah, well, I guess like you've said to me earlier, and I've sort of said, you know, many people have said this to me, you know, my story, I wouldn't have sort of much punch to it, or, you know, there's plenty worse off or better off than me, but I guess for I guess a worst case, you know, a tough sort of road, you know, if we compare ourselves to African kids, well, we all should be a bit hard on ourselves, but we don't, and we shouldn't, because this is just, you know, these are our circumstances, and these are what we know, and we're just doing the best with what we know. So, you know, the path you walk's a lot different to mine.
Yeah.
You know, like in my eyes, there's no, you know, better or worse. It's just different, and how you see life, and, you know, I guess your experiences, it just all comes back to that. I feel, you know, a 30-year-old plumber who's been married to his job, you know, a business owning, you know, mother who's, you know, struggling to find time for the kids. There's going to be people that relate to whatever it may be, or, you know, a fellow who's partied a fair bit and he enjoys himself, like whatever it may be, good or bad. Everyone's got something. So
yeah, 100%, mate. And from the outside looking in, like, there's a massive stigma for men around. You know, we both said just before that we're both quite sensitive and emotional people, but there is this big stigma around, you know, men don't share their feelings, etc., or whatever it is, or you don't show your vulnerability. For me, like, you really, especially with some of the stories, like, breaking that down, what's your take on it in society? Like, you did mention to me off air about, you know, like the generation above me is different and my generation different. You're a bit younger than me. Yep. What's your sort of take on what's happening at the moment?
Yeah, well, there's obviously been a huge change, and I think, you know, living, those guys have got, you know, we've got a lot to thank them for, but you know, you look back to my dad's generation, and it was just, you know, you shut up and you work. Like, sort of, you hear the old footy players, you know, you don't say anything, you just don't whinge. You know, it was like that in society as well. Yeah. And I feel my dad probably carried a lot of pain for a long time and masked it with maybe alcohol, and then didn't tell, you know, anyone, just carried his pain. And then I feel like my brother, and I not see it through other people as well, that I feel I was probably, my age group was probably maybe a tipping point in terms of, like, I was a little bit from the old school, but then also the new school, and I probably used to talk a lot about how I was feeling, and if I'm going good, I'll tell you, like, I'm happy to wrap myself. And if I'm going no good too, I'll tell you, you know. So I might be seen as a big noter or a sook at times, but I just express myself. And, and, you know, some guys are a bit more reserved, and that's all well and good, but I guess it's just when people are happy to, put something out there, it's probably a little bit related to tall poppy syndrome, a little bit related to, if someone's telling you something, it might not necessarily mean they're sooking or what, they're just having a yarn, and it's just those little changes over time. It's a lot different today.
Yeah, probably what I think too is if if you're feeling something inside, an emotion, or you're down or whatever, it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks. Like, if you're feeling that, you're feeling it for a reason. It's important to connect with it and share it and try and process through it. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and mate, so probably just back to, I guess, the start on a bit of a personal level for you. How did you find it? Like, you came up, you sort of said the time you were going through. You came up with this idea. How did you find it and feel about it? Like, actually launching into it, were you confident, uncomfortable, or did you just know that it was the right thing to do?
I feel I probably thrive. Like, when I used to party a lot, I used to thrive in just weird situations or something a bit different. And I've never really been a just chip away at something, and that's probably bit of a not one of my strongest points. But the other side of the coin is that if I get excited about something, there's not really much anyone can sort of say to sort of put me off it, and I just back myself. And when I started it, I just felt like it was a perfect storm for me and my life.
Yeah.
And
was that is that because, like, the timing of your life? Do you think did it sort of, like, that period in time, was it? It felt gave you the passion for it, maybe, or?
I think it pushed me because I was sort of in a really dark place. But when I started it, I got a friend of mine, a girl from back in the day. She sent me a screenshot from when we were chatting. Like, it would have been 5 or 6 years earlier, and I'd just broken my back, I think, or maybe just before or after that. And it said, like, I'd said to her, I don't know what it is, but I just feel there's something more out there for me, like, to express myself, to sort of, I guess, I don't know, I basically expressed myself, and I just didn't really know where to put it.
Yeah.
And that was what the message said, and when she sent me that, I was like, this is, I feel like I've probably struggled for a long time because I haven't gone and done something like this. Like, so now that I'm doing it, it's like, and this is what I need to do, and I understand logic of money and my loved ones advising, you've got a good business and whatnot, but I believe if I don't do it, I'll be worse off mentally. I think I sort of have to do it just through the want so bad. So. Yeah,
so you personally take a lot out of it, just being able to help people, I suppose, share their stories, and then the flow-on effect from that.
I guess I don't know if I answered your question so well there, but that's essentially it. And I just, for myself, on a selfish level, I want to help people, and I want to be remembered, and I want to do something, good in my life. And I don't know if I sound like a bit of a dick saying that, but I just want to be remembered and do something, and I feel this might be it.
Yeah, cool, mate. You definitely don't sound like a dick for saying that, but
the boys might disagree.
Mate, I think, like, the word there was help, like wanting to help people, and, like, on that platform, like, you're obviously doing that. Mate, pleasure. The Thnks, back to the clothing, maybe, like the Thnks clothing label. How's that all traveling?
Yeah, it's steady. If I'm honest, a lot of brands in Australia start with AS colour. A lot more these days probably don't, but I guess we've been just trying to build the brand more so for now.
Yeah.
So really, at the moment, like, our clothing, I wouldn't say we're an established clothing brand. We've just got a brand, and we're trying to build it. Yeah. But I'm hopeful by spring we're going to have some nice custom stuff.
Yeah.
So by then, hopeful that will have come on leaps and bounds, sort of just trying to iron out a few things and learn on the run. But got a long way to go there, but that excites me, that side of it. I want to sort of design a few. I don't want to give too much away, but sort of started to work on a bit of it. So.
Yeah, cool. Can't wait to see it. So I guess probably the next question is, where to for Thnks Collective now? Like you said, you want to get some more stories happening. Have you got anything big in the pipeline you can let us in on?
Well, I guess I've just got to find when will this be getting released. I'm planning on walking away from my current business, House Media Co.
Yeah.
It's been good to me, but I think I just need to go in this full on.
Yeah.
And me going into it full on is me learning the video myself, so I can have a bit more of a hand in the actual stories with the emotion and
Yeah.
the sensitivity around a lot of it. I feel that's where I can be a pretty good asset to the videos. And then we want to journal the journey a lot more, so just behind the scenes with, you know, sorting out samples. This isn't ours, by the way, this is another club in front row. You know, sorting out all those sorts of things, the ups and downs of it all, and just really get that going. So we want consistency in our stories and in our content. And then there could be a job we're going to Northern Territory to video this guy and do the home gym guys, so his business has blown up through just making his own lark and stuff like that. And then we've got still Girals to come, hopefully Toddy Carney. We haven't locked him in, but I'll just keep an eye on him.
Be persistent.
And then like the Pressure Project, there's so many stories, and then lots of guys who have messaged me, I won't sort of name them because obviously we haven't done them and they're not known to the public, but a lot of those guys with some incredible stories, which, you know, that's just what we want to get to. Just want to get the stories consistently out and possibly go to a podcast format down the track.
Cool.
I just want it to go everywhere. Stories just flat out.
Content is king.
Yeah,
cool, mate.
As good as your last pass.
True. Mate, well, that's very good. Like, for me on a personal level, you know, I think it's you know, obviously, like you said, living and like Are You OK Day and that, there's so much awareness. But for people to be touched by other people's stories, I think is a massive thing. So having a platform for people to share it is huge. So well done for that.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate it.
And I think, you know, people connect to. You may think your story's not relevant and you've kept it bottled up for years, but like we said earlier, if it connects to that one person and it can make a difference to one person's life, or it could be more, then, you know, it's definitely worth sharing. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Yep. All right. Well, thanks, Carls, for coming on. Just to wrap it up, guys, for anyone listening, if you know, you haven't followed Thnks yet, or you haven't seen what they're about, because what's your Instagram handle?
It's Thnks without the A Collective. I think our Facebook is the same. A few videos on YouTube, Twitter, but we haven't really got our Twitter up and going, but mainly just our Facebook and Instagram, and it's just, like I said, Thnks Collective without the A. Yeah,
cool. So if you got any questions for Curly, or maybe you might jump on there and see some stories and be touched and feel like you'd like to share yours, I'm sure Curly wouldn't mind if you get in touch with him.
Send us a message.
Send him a message. He might go cold on you for a little while, but he'll eventually come back.
We'll come back around.
So, no, mate, thanks very much. I know you're busy, for giving up your time and coming up to have a chat with us today. Like I said, it's a great initiative, and wish you nothing but luck, you know, for the clothing brand and for the story sharing.
Thanks, Grazza, mate. I appreciate it. When you guys asked me, obviously, I was always pretty keen. I've known Locks for quite a long time, and, you know, since I met you, it was, you know, probably over beers back in the day, but we always got on quite well, and I've always been watching you boys from afar at the gym and love what you're doing with your content and the environment you sort of create. So well done to you fellas, and yeah, thanks for asking me on. Very humbling.
Pleasure, mate. Good to have you, and thanks for the nice words. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again next time.